So I want to break down for you my entire story of going from 16, broke, fat, obese, single mother household, living in council house, all the way up to now where I live in Dubai in a nice apartment in a high rise, making $250,000 a month with my social media marketing agency that runs without me. I'm in a fortunate enough position to now say that I can live for the next 3, 4, 5 years and not have to make anything. And that's a position that not a lot of people can say they're in. I want to run you through my story of how I did that from the age of 16 to 19 years old and how I really scaled my agency from 0 to 250k a month in 2 years. So I'm going to break down each stage of my journey, what my problems were, how I solved them. And my goal here really is, if you're an agency owner that's stuck in the analysis paralysis stage, or at $0 a month, you're at ground zero, you don't really know what to do, it should at least give you some clarity and guidance on what you can do. And even if you're at like 10, 20, 30k a month, just so you can get inspiration on how you can break through to the next revenue level and how I did as well. And that being said, if you are in the second category, already making some money in your agency, I may be able to help you as well scale your agency by licensing. And if you fall into the second bucket and you're already making over 10k a month and you want to break through and you need help doing so, I believe that the unknown unknowns are what fuck you over the most. So if you want my help being able to get there, you can go ahead and take a look at the video below. I've got something to sell you and see if it's something that you like. If it is, great. We can hop on a call and we can see if it's a good fit, but let's dive in. So just so you know, I'm not full of absolute shit. I just wanted to show you my processor. So you can see in January, we did 71k on this one. If I pull up this one, we did 130k in GBP. Ballpark, that comes out to about 210k USD. And then last month we did about 250k. That was the biggest month that we had. So let's improve. Now, that being said, I just want to dive into this and give you a rundown of my life, my story, where I came from, how I was able to get to here, and again, how you can replicate that. And at least if somebody resonates with the story and they get one small nugget on, oh shit, I wish I did this differently instead of X, then the purpose of this video has been served. So first thing, when I was 12 to 13 years old, I was super overweight, as you can see here. I'm going to put some videos up of me like fucking hustling on Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, any game that was out. I would obsess over that. And that's when I first started to, I wasn't aware of it on a conscious level, but now looking back on it, I realized that I was being an extremist. Whatever I allocated time and attention to, that me and my friends would do, I would want to be the best at. Whether it be a video game, whether it be a sport. Obviously for the sport thing, I was kind of lacking at this period of my life. But whenever we played a game, whenever anybody would go out and get taken away from the game, I would sit inside and I would treat it like a business. And I've found that that obsession has kind of transmuted into a healthy addiction now in the business, where I always want to be working, which can be a pro and a con. Don't get me wrong, once you've got the money, which it definitely has been. Now I've been more removed from the agency, it's become more of an issue, but I'm incredibly grateful that that is within me, wherever it comes from, because that obsession has allowed me to dominate my entire industry in the medical spa space and just make crazy progression faster than anybody else, just because I'm doing like 10 times more outputs than them in a day than they do in a week. So this is where I was bullied a lot at this stage of my life. I was in a single mother household, never had a father growing up, and I'm just going to be completely vulnerable and honest in a video like this because I think it's important. I don't really know where he went or why he left, but essentially I haven't seen him since I was like 10 or 11 years old. And I think that was a really big driver for me, because one of the biggest things throughout my childhood, from say 12 to 16 to 17 years old, until I actually started making enough money to provide for myself, is there was a lack of consistency. I was constantly changing houses, moving back to my grandparents' house, going from being picked up in school in a really nice car to a really shit car. And although I certainly didn't have it as bad as other people, that level of inconsistency just made me feel uneasy. It made me anxious because I felt like I wasn't in control of where my life was heading, which at this time I wasn't. I wasn't in control of where we lived, what we drove, what I wore, and I wanted to be. And that was when the seed was really planted. But you can see here, like, with the fact that I didn't have a father in my life, my mother overcompensated by giving me everything that I wanted. And the good thing about that was I repelled so badly in the long term that I would never want to do that again. And you can see here, as a byproduct of that, that's where I got really overweight. I was lazy, I didn't have any discipline, I had no idea where I was heading in my life. And obviously not a lot of people do at this age, but I had no discipline or structure in my life. And it still kind of messes me up to this day, where I find that that obsession around food and not knowing when to stop, I know for a fact comes from this period of my life, and it's something that I need to keep top of mind now, because it can creep in every now and again. And yeah, the biggest driver for me at this point in time, which it still is now, is to become the father that I wish I had, because I had a lack of consistency. I solved that problem, which moves me into the next stage, which was when I turned into a degenerate. So at this age, I really wanted to lose the weight just because I was bullied a lot, like absolutely rinsed, fat Cam the donut man, and then it changed at this stage to fat Cam the vegetable man. Or skinny Cam the vegetable man. That was the one. And this is when I turned into an absolute degenerate. So I went on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, because when you lose weight, you build confidence. When you build confidence, you get validation. And when you get the validation, you crave more of it. And at this stage in my life, what it drove me to do is I wanted to become one of those kids that everybody knew. The most popular kid. Everybody knows Cameron, right? And I thought the best way to do that was I need to be in every friend group at all times, and I need to be at every party, in every interaction, and I need to just be a fucking idiot and do what people tell me to do. And again, I'll put some videos up on the screen just because it's kind of embarrassing, but I did at this stage in my life pretty much every drug you can imagine. And I don't say that to brag or to say that I'm proud of it. I say it because it's kind of embarrassing. But I'm also grateful for that period of my life, because I know that if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be here today, because I went through this stage and overindulged because I was obsessive and I was being an extremist. And it made me want to repel on the complete other side of the spectrum, because that extremist characteristic that I label myself with, which I have full control over labeling myself with, it can either serve me or it can hinder me. In this stage of my life, it hindered me, because I was doing drugs, getting fucked up every weekend. I would literally go out in the winter, for the people out in the UK or in Europe, in like September, October, November, December, super icy in certain years. And I would go out with like a hat and gloves until like 4 or 5 a.m. and sit on a park bench with a friend or two. And we would just get a bottle of vodka and we would just drink it. Or we'd smoke some weed. And it's just like, I got to a point in my life at this age where I was like, this is so depressing. Everybody's telling me, oh, you need to start thinking about what you want to do after high school, what career path you want to take. And the only thing that I could think about was, I want to make money online. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. I didn't know when I was going to do it. I didn't even have a plan to do it. I had no fucking idea, but the seed was planted, but I was still an absolute degenerate. And the thing at the forefront of my mind at this period of my life was, I need to get as many friends as possible and be as popular as possible. And I achieved that. Then I was probably one of the most popular people in my school, without sounding egotistical, where everybody knew who I was because I went to every party. Everybody thought I was funny because I would just put this front on in front of everybody else to make everybody else happy. But internally, inside, I was dead. And I knew it at the time. It's like everybody around me loved me. I was a people pleaser because my character would change depending on what group I was in. I would fit the mold of the people around me, because before that, in this stage of my life, I didn't have that validation. I had the opposite. I was kind of lonely. I didn't really have that many friends. And whenever we would go and do things like sports or we would go out on bikes, I couldn't really resonate because I was overweight as fuck and I couldn't like go on the dirt jumps or do a wheelie like all my other friends. So here, I went on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. And again, I felt like there was this big void inside of me. And that's where, when I was 15, 16 years old, I really started to repel and get back on track. This is where Andrew Tate really started blowing up around 3-4 years ago. From my understanding, that's when I found him. And this is when I started going all in on like, I need to find ways to make money online. And I was doing some shady shit to make money originally, where I was selling vapes in the school toilets to people in my year, kids under my age, even though I wasn't even of the legal age anyway, and then people older than me too. So I was just like the manufacturer of these vapes in my high school. Basically what I would do is I would buy them in bulk. So I would buy like 50 of them for like $5 each. And then I would flip them for like $10 to $15 each. And it would be like a 50 to 75% profit margin. So it was easy money, but the risk was big. Literally, in the end, everybody in the school knew that I was selling the vapes, even the teachers. They had no way of expelling me because I would hide them and they would never find them on me. I would literally just put them in the roof of the school toilets and then I would post them on my story. I would promote them. I would do marketing in this terms now. And then people would come to me. I'd meet them in the toilet. I'd sell them a vape. So I was doing that. I was also flipping phones to make money. And then after that, after making a couple of $1,000s with that, I realized I can't do this forever because this is just shady as hell and it's not scalable. I don't have a scalable acquisition channel. I can't remove myself from fulfillment, like all of the agency terms, which obviously I wasn't thinking about things like that now. But looking back on it, that's the thought process behind why I needed to pivot. And obviously it was risky, right? It was just a ridiculous business model. So this is when Andrew Tate really popped into my mind and I started seeing Hustlers University, or now it's called the War Room. And I joined this, which I believe at the time it was like $50 a month. I'm not sure what it is now. And I went all the fuck in on copywriting. Every single day, after school, before school, I would allocate about 3 to 4 hours a day to copywriting, where I would jump on their live calls to learn about it. I would do about 100 email outreaches a day, and I was doing whatever it took to get really good at copy. I would practice every day. I would get feedback every day. I would join the live calls. I would do cold outreach. And the biggest thing that I took away from the War Room, or Hustlers University, was I was in the uninformed optimism stage when I first thought about starting copywriting. I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be easy. I'm going to sign a client. I did copywriting for about a whole year, 3, 4, 5 hours a day, after school, before school, and I made about $1,000, if that, because I didn't have the skills necessary to make the money that I wanted to make. And one thing that I really took away here was success always takes longer than you think it does, but it also comes faster than you think it does, and I'll explain what I mean by that. When I first started, I had zero skills, zero knowledge, zero experience. I started in copywriting, and it took me a whole year, and I made about $1,000, if that. I barely made anything. I think I signed one total client, and then I had one guy that I signed as a client who wasn't actually a client. He signed me up as a sales rep. He basically hired me, and then he fired me after a day because I told him I closed a deal, and I thought a close was somebody saying they were gonna buy. I didn't think it was me collecting payment. I had no idea why this guy hired me. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but he was actually a big brand at the time, and he hired me because I reached out to him. So the biggest thing that I realized is it takes a lot longer than you think in the short term, meaning you do not yet have the skills and experience and the knowledge required to make the amount of money that you want to make. But once you have that, you make the money significantly quicker. So when I was in copywriting, again, it took me so long to make any money. I think for the first like 8 or 9 months, I made $0, but I just kept going because your first 100K is just sheer will. You've just got to be willing to burn the boats and go all the fuck in and not take no for an answer. And then after that, there's like teams, systems, processes, operations. That's to get up to like 1, 2, 3, 4 million a year, right? So what I mean by it also is quicker than you think is because what I did is when I was in the copywriting model, I discovered Thomas Garnett, which for the people in the SMMA industry, he essentially made a video going over how he was running ads for a medical spa and calling their leads and booking them appointments. And this blew my mind at the time because I was like, holy shit, my biggest problem in the copywriting game is I can't guarantee an outcome to them. Like, I can't say the copywriting I'm going to do for you is going to bring you X in revenue or X amount of appointments because it's intangible, right? I don't directly control that result. But with SMMA, I did. So I immediately pivoted to that business model, started cold calling, and went in the trenches. And that's when I also discovered Max Pearson, who I joined his agency community where he was teaching people how to use the CRM called Go High Level, which a lot of agencies are using right now, because I got told to get this platform, which was complete Chinese to me at the time, which was Go High Level for SMS blasts. And you can actually see this if you go on my YouTube, when I first discovered Go High Level and when I was giving out the source on SMS blasts. And this was an absolute game changer for me because when I started learning this tool, there we go, the fully automated outreach strategy. This video here is when I first fully discovered Go High Level and learned how to crack it. And Max Pearson was a huge part of that journey because he essentially helped me learn Go High Level, build out my landing page, start cold outreach. And the biggest payment that I took at that time, I made a sum total at this point of around $1,000. I then won Max Pearson's challenge where he was giving away $1,000 to the person that was willing to go all in the most and get the best results. And I actually won that. And as a byproduct, I started signing a few more clients on a purely performance model basis. And you can see here, this is where the delusion really started to set in. So I made this and I went all in and dropped out of high school at just before I was 17 years old. And I took this picture on the day that I dropped out. I was making 10 grand a month 1 year today. And I'll also put up a video on here as well. This video here, I literally said, by this date, I'm gonna be making 10 grand a month. And nobody in my circle believed me.
23rd of September 2022. 23rd of September 2023, I'll be making 10 grand a month. Bullshit.
And if you're in a situation like that where you're like, hearing what people think about me, what are they gonna say? They're not gonna believe me. They're gonna take the piss out of me. Yes, they will. And you have to get used to it. But the cool thing is you get to decide what's more painful to you. Is it more painful for you to have this dream inside of you that is buried away and you just focus on pleasing people? Or is it more painful to have other people ridicule you, but you know in your heart, you're focusing on the thing that you truly want to fucking do? I know which one I would pick every single time. And that's all you've got to do. You have to be willing to burn the fucking boats and just completely ignore what people say to you. And you'll see in the video that I'll pop up in a minute, this is literally what happened with me. I told everybody, hey, I'm gonna be making 10 grand a month in a year. And everybody was like, fuck off, no way. Because there's no proof, rightly so. And my whole family did it as well. And when I told my family I was gonna drop out, they couldn't believe it. I literally just got an apprenticeship lined up. If you don't know what that is, it's basically like an on-the-job trade where I was gonna be a rotational equipment electrician. And in 10 years' time, I would be making 40K a year. And I decided to decline that job that most people thought I was absolutely delusional for. I remember even my ex's dad put something on Facebook or said something that was like, oh, he's losing, he's screwing his life up and he's going to be going to college just because he wants to be a bum and be around his friends and do drugs. And that was like, I was like, I'm going to fucking show you, you are completely wrong. And that's why I truly believe that being driven by pain can serve you. And at this period of my life, you'll see in this yellow video as well, I literally said, my dream job is to own a digital marketing agency.
My dream job is to have a digital marketing agency.
And when I still watch that now, I still get goosebumps because obviously now I've got way further than I could ever imagine. But I knew and orientated my life to get what I have right now. And I always knew that I would get it, but I just didn't know how. And that came through time. And I truly believe that the universe aligns in a way that resonates with your goal when you are very, very clear what you want and you sacrifice to get it. So from there, 17 years old, which was 2 years ago now, this is when I was going all the fuck in. Dropped out of high school, doing 200 cold calls daily, and I was documenting everything on YouTube. You can see it here. I have videos going over me cold calling. I had a Discord community where I actually got like 100 entrepreneurs, or like, I think there was about 1,000 people in there actually, and we would jump on Discord, we would cold call together, we would cold email, we would cold SMS, and I didn't have enough money to run paid ads, because cold SMS or cold outbound, when you're first starting your agency, is like walking to get clients. Paid ads is like the car or like the airplane. You like, obviously the airplane's going to be quicker, but if you can't afford the fuel to fuel the airplane to get it to take off the ground, then you're going to have to walk, right? That's the bottom line. So I didn't have the fuel to take it off. So I had to do cold outbound. And I signed about 10 performance-based clients to crack fulfillment. So if you're at a stage like this where you're just like, look, I don't have any money, I need to make money to sign clients, then what I would recommend that you do is you go to the client and you offer them an earn while you learn model. I'm not a fan of just a free trial because number one, people undervalue trials and they're like, why are you offering me a trial? That's a little bit weird. Number two, why would you not get paid while you learn if you can? For example, what you can go ahead and do is if you go to a bathroom remodeler and you say, look, I don't want you to pay me anything up front. All I want you to do is pay $50 a day in ad spend, and I'll take $100 for every qualified appointment I book you. I'll do the rest. And the reason that I'm doing this, John, is because I want to build up my case study portfolio. And we have a couple of other remodelers in XYZ location, but we don't have one in insert wherever their location is. We don't have one in Florida, and I really want to get a good case study. So I'm willing and open to do that. If you're willing and open to, once we crush it with your results, give me a testimonial. And then it makes sense why you're doing it. Otherwise, they're going to be skeptical and they're going to be like, well, why the fuck would I not pay you? That's just really weird, right? So that's exactly what I was doing. And that's what allowed me to sign my first 10 clients. And this is when I really, really went all in because I dropped all the partying and went in complete isolation for 6 to 12 months. I literally shaved my head, and I'll play a clip on the screen here as well, where I'm like, if I'm not a millionaire, I have let every fucking person down. And the video is a little bit cringy, but it just shows you where the level that you need to go to sometimes, where I was not willing to accept anything below being a millionaire.
If I'm not a millionaire in my lifetime, if I'm not a millionaire in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I've let every fucking person down. Because in my mind, I know, and I will do that. So if something gets in my way and I don't end up doing that, I haven't fulfilled my purpose. But I am going to fulfill my purpose. And I'm going to do everything in my fucking power to get that money. And I'm going to become the biggest influence the UK's ever seen.
And this is why I'm not a fan of the plan A, plan B thing. Like, I used to always get told, Cameron, what's the plan B if it doesn't work? What's the backup? My family used to say it, my friends used to say it. And I think, fuck the plan B. Make the plan A work or die trying. Like, if you'll be incredibly surprised to see what you are capable of if you just go all in. You accept nothing but what you want for an answer. Because one or two things is going to happen. Either you win, you get what you want, or you die. Because if you're just willing to go all in and do whatever it takes to get there, you will not stop until you get it. And here I also managed to save up a few £1,000s, and this is where I launched the paid ads. I put fuel in the engine of the jet. So essentially what I did is I signed performance model clients where I was in medical spa and I would take a $50 deposit for every patient that I booked. At the time, I was running their ads and I was also calling their leads for them. And this was super overwhelming, to be frank with you, because I was marketing, selling new clients, doing cold outbound. I was fulfilling for my clients, trying to hire people at the time because I was super overwhelmed. I didn't know who to hire. And then I was also calling all of my clients' leads. So I would literally be calling leads in the gym, while I was taking a shit, when I was out for dinner with family. Any time that I had free, I was working. There was zero time in my day. And that's why I say if you do have a couple of $1,000s saved up, I would launch paid ads sooner rather than later because you have leverage. And the leverage equation is just volume times leverage equals output. The more leverage that you have, the more output that you can get with less volume. So paid ads is leverage, okay? So I managed to save up around £5,000 here, $5,000, and I started scaling fast. This is when I started to learn how to crack paid ads. And I know it sounds like, I've written it here where it says, oh, we went from 0 to 85K at 17, factoring in chargebacks. And I went to my first two events, Charlie Morgan and Joel Kaplan, because that money that I made allowed me to have the leverage of being able to pay for other people's knowledge and information. And I know this is kind of ironic because I sell something that
sells information. But one of the best things that I did with my money was invest in people that knew things that I didn't know. Because it's not the known knowns that fuck you up. The things that you know you need to solve. It's the unknown unknowns. Like, for example, if you're building an agency now, you might look at it and go, oh, we're doing pretty good. But let's say in 3 months' time, when you go to scale past from 50 to 100K a month, you realize, oh shit, I built the entire foundation completely wrong. And if only you had somebody to look over your shoulder to tell you that beforehand, you would have saved yourself for 6 months. The 3 months that you spent building the wrong thing and the 3 months you spent trying to figure it out and fix it. So this is why I truly believe that one of the highest ROI things that really accelerated my growth over the last few years was investing in knowledge, skills, and experiences with the people that knew more than me. I spent over the last 12 months alone collectively $250,000, $250,000 on coaches, courses, and masterminds. Were some of them shit? Yeah. Were some of them good? Yeah. Were some of them average? Yeah. But each time, not only is it the knowledge you acquire, the network is huge, because once you have a network of people, like I can post something on my story and I will get like 50 pop-ups from people saying, hey, I've got to connect for you, I've got to connect for you, I've got to connect for you. That is invaluable, number one, because your net worth is your network. And I truly believe that. And not only that, when you pay somebody to acquire a skill, it shows you how serious you are about your goal. That's the way that I see it, where it's like, if I put down, for example, I invested in a mastermind a couple of months back that was 35K for the year. And the way that I see it is, when I pay that money down, I'm paying money down to show my current self now how badly I want to hit my goals. And it's like, fuck, man, you're going to do whatever it takes. And I'm like, yes, that's the way that I see it. So just like a mental shift on the way that I see those things. But yeah, I know this sounds super easy where I went from 0 to 85. It wasn't that easy, to be honest with you. It took a lot longer than it looks here. There was a lot of headache, a lot of pain. And I spent like $3,000 or $4,000 on ads and made nothing. And the biggest thing that helped me here was, as I say, I started investing in knowledge and masterminds and courses that allow me to learn these skills. So I paid for one-to-one mentoring with somebody who knew ads better than I did, who was already making 100K a month, to just teach me that. Because there's two ways that you can build a skill. You can buy it with time, by fucking up, figuring it out, and constantly reiterating, which often takes way longer, or you can buy it with money. Money creates leverage because money cuts down the time that you have to take in order to learn the skill. In my case, I just paid somebody $500 for an hour of their time who already cracked paid ads to teach me everything that I knew. So instead of me spending 6 months trying to figure out paid ads, this guy told me in an hour. And then I was good. And then I scaled, right? I would rather pay with time than money, because money gives me leverage over my time, and time is the most valuable currency on this planet. You can always get more money. You can never get more time, okay? And this is where, again, I met Charlie Morgan at his first event, and that was completely game changer for me, just being around other people that made millions of dollars every month and realizing, holy shit, there is levels to the game. And not only that, when you meet some of these people, you're like, you know what? There's nothing special about this guy. Like, I can do this. And I'm not saying this in Charlie's example. Charlie's actually an extremely intelligent individual, but just some of the masterminds I've been to where I meet people and I'm like, holy shit, this guy makes like 2, 3, 4, 5 million a month, and they're not that intelligent. And it really just redefines what success looks like for you in your mind. And you realize that it's actually way more attainable than you think. And I also set a goal for the next year, June 2024, to make 100K a month. And I fucking hit it. This was when I was 18 years old last year. Now, we scaled up to 85K, but my agency broke due to a lack of infrastructure. And this is the biggest thing that I've seen happen to me and happen to multiple different agency owners, where they scale up paid ads and they think that's the biggest piece of the equation. Then they have no team, systems, and processes, which is the foundation of your agency. And then what happens is you've built this skyscraper on the foundation of a 2-story house, and everything falls down. And you go from like 80K or like 100K a month to like 30K a month. And that is where most people become a coach, my friend. That is where most people are selling their courses and you're giving them money, where that's exactly what they did, because they didn't have the foundation built right, team, systems, processes. So I spent at least 2 to 3 months where, and I wish I didn't turn the sales machine off, but I did. I spent 3 months where we had no sales coming in. And all I did was I worked 12 hours a day on team, systems, and processes. And I got punched in the face hundreds of times this year. And as a byproduct of that, I truly believe that we've been able to build the best SOPs in the market as a byproduct of that. Because now we don't have any key man risk. Because at this stage, what actually happened when I say we got punched in the face hundreds of times and everything broke is, number one, we didn't have systems for each of our team members to do the things they did. So they were coming to me every time they had a problem. And number two, we couldn't hire quick enough to suffice for client acquisition. So we had 10 clients coming in a month, but we didn't have an equilibrium in how many clients we were signing and how many team members we were signing, which we needed. There was a discrepancy. So we would sign 10 clients, knew we needed like 2 ISAs, 2 people to call our clients leads, but we couldn't hire them. So there was this big gap, and that gap will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is where we built a really good talent acquisition process too. So just to give you like the result of this, we built the best SOPs in the market to make sure this would never be a problem again. So say for example now, we're hiring a sales rep, right? Instead of me going in and having to train them, we can have them ramped up in a week on calls. And we have thousands of applications ready to go, always coming in. Because you need to treat talent acquisition like client acquisition. And when you do that, the game gets a lot funner because you're not purely reliant on, holy shit, we have to turn off the sales machine because we don't have enough people on the team. You've always got somebody ready. And when I spent this 2-3 months refining our systems, building the best systems in the agency space, I built out everything you can imagine to make sure that we would never have a problem with team or systems or processes ever again. So everything from automations, which I'm not going to get into, but just to give you an example, if we hire a sales rep now, they have all of these videos, industry knowledge, product knowledge, fundamentals, lead flow and setter SOPs, tracking and admin, the intro calls, the demo calls, follow-up tactics, hundreds of call reviews, all of that stuff that they can go through whenever they may please, which is going to set them up for success before I even speak to them. So now we have the team, the systems, the processes, and that's what allowed me in 2024 to get up to 100K a month consistently by the time that I said I would. And by the way, if you're in license and scale, which is the thing that I sell for agencies, you'll get access to all of this, just so you know. But side note, so then this is where I was in a fortunate enough position where I said I was going to hit 10K by X date. I did it. I said I was going to hit 100K by June 2024. I did it. And from there, I fortunately was able to start paying for my grandparents' mortgage, my mum's rent, and helping the family, and also invested a shit ton of money in coaches, courses, and masterminds because I know that I need to continue to invest in myself if I want to continue to grow. And that is what has allowed me to go so much quicker than everybody else because everybody else pays with time. I pay with money. And that is the only difference. I'm not a super intelligent individual, I promise you. The only thing that is different is I pay with money, you pay with time. That's what got me there quicker. And I learn and iterate and execute extremely quickly because there's two types of decisions, type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is two-way doors. You want to make those extremely fucking quickly. And I'm just really good at making quick decisions and acting fast, okay? And this is where I set my goal of getting to 250K and then removing myself from the equation. So everything you see now, where I have removed myself, I am doing 250K, I wrote down more than a year ago. That was my goal more than a year ago. And I already knew that I was going to get it. I was just waiting for reality to catch up. If you've heard of the definition of manifestation, it's shifting internally to a degree in which you are no longer emotionally dependent on seeing reality change to get what you want. And I already had 250K a month removed from the equation, operations manager, running everything, 50% profit margin. I already had that in my head. I already wrote it down on my vision board, but reality just needed to catch up. And now eventually it has. So here, this is where I was traveling a lot. So I went to Colombia, Miami, Canada, fucking Marbella. I went everywhere. I was traveling like a madman, but I was also working like a madman. And that brings me to now, which is 19 years old, where because I've built my team, my systems, my processes so well, I'm not involved in any client acquisition. I'm not involved in any marketing. I'm not involved in any client success, any operations. We're consistently doing 200K a month at a 60% profit margin. And I work 30 to 60 minutes a week in the agency optionally, just because I care about the team and I want to be involved. And we hit a top line month of 250K. I'm removed completely from the agency with a self-sustaining team that runs without me and operations and systems that allow me to do so. And I've just launched License and Scale, which now is going to be the best program for agencies to grow to the point of exit or removal. And this is where I've been able to move to Dubai too, purely because UK tax is disgusting. And it's beautiful here, which is the other bonus. And with License and Scale already, you can already see we've already helped a shit ton of people scale from 10 to 100 to 200K a month. Like Edvin went from 5 to 500K, Matt went from 20 to 80K, Jim went from 0 to 50. And my mission is to do that for hundreds, thousands of people and build the best product in the marketplace to help agencies grow. And that was pretty much my entire story up to now. So I know that was a lot. And I do just want to share with you a few final thoughts or lessons that I learned throughout this journey that I feel like are going to be beneficial for you. So the first takeaway was you must be crystal clear on what you want. What do you wear? Where do you live? You need to be extremely specific. I see when a lot of people say they have a vision, it's like, oh, I go on a boat and I have a big yacht and a Lamborghini. Like, yeah, that's great and all. And you might have one day in the month where you spend time and you go on a yacht and you go to a party and you meet a bunch of girls, whatever that is for you. But like every day of your life, you're not going to do that, man. You need to write your vision out as if you are that person. What do you wear? Where do you live? Who do you hang around with? What do you work on? What businesses do you have? How much money do you make? Be crystal fucking clear. Like my vision has what a day in the life looks like. And a day in the life looks like recording content, making YouTube videos, and doing deep work. I'm fucking living that right now. And this is the cool thing about orientating your life around the vision that you have. So you need to be extremely specific with what you want. And I'll give you an example of this where I made a 2024 vision before I hit 100K a month, which you can see it here where I broke down the numbers. I'm not going to go all the way down, but you can see here. I'm traveling the world and living in an apartment in Manchester as of this date. I'm going to masterminds every 1 to 3 months, investing a portion of my profit into connections and knowledge to buy shortcuts to the next level and to learn from other people's mistakes rather than my own. Done. I'm currently renting an apartment in Manchester. It has a beautiful balcony overlooking the city and is near to the top floor. It has 1 bed, 1 bathroom, 1 main living room workspace. I feel clear, refreshed, and overwhelmed with excitement for this new chapter in my life. I go out for dinners to nice restaurants in Manchester every few weeks. By this point, I have a defined beard, my hair is flicked to the side, and my dress sense is smart and casual with denim trousers and a nice polo shirt or sweater. That is one portion. This thing is like 10 pages long. I'm not saying you need to make it 10 pages long. And this didn't come to fruition because I already overcame it. I decided that I didn't even want that anymore. But I live in Dubai instead of Manchester. I'd say that's an upgrade. The fucking casual dress wear, already doing that, besides these videos when I'm wearing a fucking tank top. And I have a defined beard now, which I don't know why that was on my vision board, but it's there. And I've got a lot of connections through the masterminds I've been able to go to and the content that I create. So that's like a prime example of an introduction to a vision. Be extremely specific. And once you're clear on what you want and who you need to become, all you need to do is you read it every morning, you visualize it in explicit detail, and then you embody that person. And the way that I like to visualize it is you just close your eyes and you decide you're just gonna put the new lens of that person on right now. And the cool thing about doing that is, and this ties back into point number 3, which I'll go into now, which your environment is everything. When you move away from home, you get to decide who you are to other people, which I find really liberating. So when I moved from my hometown to, say, Lincoln or to Dubai or to Miami, I could literally decide what people thought of me and who I was. Because you can recreate your identity because nobody knows you. And that's going to be the first point, which is you must be crystal clear on what you want. The second thing is you do not get what you want, you get what you deserve. It's very fucking easy to tell people what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it. Oh, I want to lose 50 pounds, Sally. I want to make 100K a month, Johnny. Like, you hear it all the time. People do it all the fucking time in their lives. But your goal shouldn't be to impress other people with your goals. Because when you tell other people your goals, it releases dopamine as if you achieved the goal, which I do it in a different way where I post externally on YouTube to say like, hey, here's my goal, to hold me externally accountable, which I would highly recommend. But if you're just telling people you're going to achieve something and then you don't make any action in alignment with that goal, not only do you break your promise to them and you let them down, they're actually going to lose respect for you and you lose respect for yourself too. Nobody sees what goes on behind the surface but you. Your job shouldn't be to impress anybody else but yourself. That's it. So make it your mission to impress yourself behind the scenes. And remember, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, they're always watching. And you do not get what you want, you get what you deserve. And if you put in the work in alignment with that goal every day for a year, 2 years, 3 years, it would be unreasonable for the universe to not reward you favorably. That's the way that I see it, and it served me immensely. And just go into the game knowing that it's probably going to take a lot longer than you think, and it's going to be harder than you think. But I think that's liberating. Like, if you have that expectation and you still want to get after it, cool. Welcome to the game. So the next thing is your environment is everything. Now, I know I literally just tied on that a minute ago, but what I found is when you're in a hometown, you're in a house where, say, for example, you used to masturbate a lot, you used to drink alcohol, you used to go out with friends, you used to be a bum, do a bunch of shady shit, and you decide to just completely change your life in that environment, in that household, where you start telling your mum, no, I want to eat clean food, no, I'm not going out to my friends. What happens is the people that you're around were so used to the old you, they start saying things like you've changed, you're getting boring. And if you've heard of the crab in a bucket analogy, it's like you're in a bucket with your friends and say you're all on the same level, right? Let's say you've got John as your friend and he's overweight and you start going to the gym, but you guys are on the same level and you start getting in shape. Everybody is a direct reflection of one another to their own insecurities. So you getting in shape and John being on the same level as you in terms of came from the same hometown, same upbringing, same background, he's probably going to start to take the piss out of you. Or he's going to start to resent you. He's going to go, oh, you're boring. You never come out for food. Why are you so gay? You go to the gym all the time. I used to get this all the time when I was first losing the weight because you are a direct reflection or mirror of everybody else's insecurities around you. And this is why I believe that you should get out of your hometown, because not only that, will they pull you down and pull you into the bad habits because they don't want you to be better than them because it makes them seem worse, but you're also a direct reflection and mirror of the people that you spend your time with in terms of their insecurities. And the best thing that you can do is get out of the environment that reinforces those habits. Move away from home. I wish I did it sooner, because when you move away from home, not only do you get to recreate your identity and decide how people see you and perceive you, you also open the door up to so many networking and opportunities, connections. And just like the weather, for example, in Dubai is just so beautiful, it immediately uplifts your mood. And then the final few points that I'll put here is your business growth is a reflection of your own personal growth. I personally do not see people as successful who have a lot of money who are overweight. And I know that's controversial, but I truly believe that success is progress in every domain of your life. It's not even just maxing out the stats in every domain of your life, because that takes time. It's progress. If you're making progress, you're successful. That's the bottom line. And what I mean by that is you eat clean, you train hard, you should be able to run fast, you should be able to lift heavy, but you should be able to work really fucking hard on the business too. Because I can tell you, the foundation, when you zoom out on the macro level, is your health. The health is I've heard Stephen Bartlett talk about this, where it's like, the health is the table that everything else stands on. If you remove the table, everything else falls down. So the table is very important. And then finally, use the pain to your advantage. Whatever reason you're doing this, find it and use it and channel it. There's a lot of people that are driven by pain. I'd say more people than not. And for me personally, just being very open and honest, it was the fact that my father wasn't in my life. I know he's got a tattoo of me on his left arm and he hasn't spoke to me in 10 years. And I've never heard from him, and he's never paid attention to me. And I just can't wrap my head around, how can somebody bring somebody into this world and then not provide for them, and not help them, and not guide them, and not instill discipline and lessons within them, and give them their learnings? Because I think one of the most liberating things that you can do on this planet, in this world, in this life, is breed. Like, bring new life onto this planet to pass your name down into future generations. And I just can't get my head around why somebody wouldn't want to do that, and that makes me angry. And my initial mission with that is I'm going to be so successful that you can't ignore it. And that was one side with the pain. Another side of the pain was I've just seen my mum struggle and go through so much to support me by herself for so long. And I want to give her everything she deserves. And the third thing is the ego play, which everybody has, which is I want ego. I want status. I want a big reputation, a good reputation. I want to be the best at what I do. And you could argue that also is driven by pain, but I think ego is a natural thing in everybody's life. So that's pretty much everything for this video. I hope this was valuable. And again, if you own an agency and you want to license the systems in my 250k a month agency, and you want me to help you grow to multi-six figures and get to a point of either exit or founder removal, click the link below this video, and I hope this was valuable.